All right, and we're going to transition right into the next thing. Y'all ready to kick off this whole conference? We understand that this event is taking place on land that is not ours. It is traditional Ohlone land, and we recognize its continued importance to the Ohlone people. We'd like to invite on stage two people. One is Vincent Medina. He's a member of the Vincent Medina is a member of the Muwekma tribe, the Ohlone tribe, where he also serves as a councilman representing his family's lineage. He and Louis Trevino co-founded amham, an organization and restaurant focused on reviving and strengthening Ohlone foods and sharing them with their communities. Vincent was born and continues to live in his family's indigenous tribal area of Halkin. For those of you who don't know, I mean South Oakland, San Leandro, and San Lorenzo. His partner, Louis Trevino, is a Rumsen Ohlone community member active in the cultural revitalization efforts of his people. He's focused primarily on the revitalization of the Rumsen language and traditional Ohlone foods. He longs for a full and holistic revitalization of the lifeways of his ancestors, including language, story, song, art, food, and every other aspect of traditional Rumsen Ohlone culture, and he is grateful to contribute to the effort. With his partner, Vincent, Louis co-founded amham, which works to promote traditional Ohlone foods within their communities, families, as well as to educate the public about Ohlone cuisine and identity. Family, family, family. Please welcome to the stage and into the space, Vincent and Louis.
Orshetuhi makam, kanakrakat Vincent Medina, ayekanamu ekmaknanerakat Louis Trevino. Nesamakrote huchun, hoshewarep, manni iriti holshemuekmayahi swikne uyakish, at manni iriti holshemuekmayahi swinetuhi aye. Hello to you all. What I just said in the very first language of the East Bay, the Chochenyo language, is hello, my name is Vincent Medina, and I'm a member of the Muwekma Ohlone Tribe, and I serve on our tribal council and our tribal government for my family's lineage, representing our sovereignty and working to protect our traditional culture here in this area. I'm joined by my partner, Louis Trevino, who's Rumsen Ohlone, and his family's from the Carmel Valley. And together, we started an organization called amham, which works to keep our traditional Ohlone food strong for the wellness and the health of our communities, of our tribe, and also to repair the wounds and the damage that colonization brought to this area, to decolonize ourselves and decolonize our diet in the process. This area has a proper name. Before it's ever been called Oakland, this area is called Huchun. This area has been lived in for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, too many years to ever count. Our people, and my family and my tribe, we've lived here forever, and I mean that quite literally. No generation of our people has ever lived away from the East Bay. In spite of all of the hardships, colonization, forced removal, the missions, the gold rush, genocide, assimilation policies, boarding schools, not being allowed to practice our religion freely until the 1970s, in spite of these challenges, our people have never left. And that comes from a fierce love, a dedication. Thank you. Thank you. That comes from a fierce love and a dedication that comes from those people before us. Those people before us are the ones who allow us to be here today, to be able to carry on our culture and work to repair those wounds and see a better future. Our old-timers tell us when it's raining out and the rains are heavy and it's wet, they're reminded of our beginning stories, about the beginning times of the world, when it was created right here in the East Bay. Our old-timers tell us that the world was created on a mountain that we call Tuushtak, the place of the day. But when colonizers came in, they named it Mount Diablo, the mountain of the devil. But that's our creation place. That's one of our holiest places. And our old-timers tell us about a time when the whole world was flooded, except for the two peaks of that mountain. There, Mayan, Coyote, created the world after the waters receded. After a while, he created humans, us, the Ohlone people of this space. However, we weren't the first ones created. There were people before us and life before us. The rivers and the bay, the abundance that you see was created before we were created. But we were created to be here, in this space, to live in harmony with this place forever. And we know that this place provided more than enough for our ancestors. And they thrived here. They built shell mounds that soared into the sky. They lived in harmony with the environment. And this fierce love allowed our people to be able to stay here, to remain here. When colonization came here, it brought pain to this area. But colonization didn't affect us that long ago. My great-grandmother's great-grandfather was born in a pre-contact village. Before they were invaded, before colonization affected this area. It was only 240 years ago since California has been invaded. And we see what's happening right now as an extension of this colonization, an extension of occupation of our homelands. But we know that we could also work together for a better future, a decolonized future that respects indigenous people, respects our wisdom, our culture, our aesthetics, our language, our religion, and respects these things so that they can flourish again, and that we could be able to live together in a world that's full of difference, where we all have our own individual cultures and can coexist with one another. It would be boring and dull to live in a homogenized world, and that's not what we want. We want to be able to live in a world where our culture is respected here in our homeland, but also that every other culture in the world is respected as well, and that we could respect each other's value of life for all of us around the world together. In spite of the hardships that our people have suffered through, our people have survived. In spite of the gold rush, in spite of the missions, our people have stayed put. And again, it's only because of the strength, that strength of those people before us that allow us to be here, to live here another day, to work to repair those wounds and to see a brighter future. Our tribe of this area, once again, is the Muwekma Ohlone Tribe. And I ask you all to repeat our tribe's name, Muwekma, with me, one time. Thank you. Our language of this area is Chochenyo. If you could all say that, Chochenyo. The name of this area is Huchun. If you could all say that, Huchun. Thank you. I appreciate it. This place is old. It was never a new world. This place has been settled and lived in for thousands of years. One final thing. There are over 800 members in our tribe today, in the Muwekma Ohlone Tribe. And everybody in our tribe continues this fierce love, continues to work to carry on our culture. And while I'm up here representing my family and representing my tribe right now, I want to acknowledge all of those people who work together to work for a better future. And we also ask you, who are here as our allies, if you ever hear those dangerous misconceptions that are out there, that indigenous people aren't here, that these things aren't alive, that our language isn't spoken, or that Ohlone people are extinct, to call them out and say those things aren't true, that Ohlone people are here, that we speak our language, that this land is loved, that we'll never leave. And together, we could work for a decolonized future with us as Ohlone people central to this here in our homeland in the East Bay. Thank you all. On behalf of myself, Louis, and the Muwekma Ohlone Tribe of the San Francisco Bay Area, and welcome to Huchun. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Vincent and Louis, for grounding us into what is the real purpose and spirit of this conference. And I'm really, really delighted to be here and to welcome you to our gathering today on behalf of the Haas Institute for a Fair and Inclusive Society. My name is Denise Herd, and I'm the Associate Director of the Institute. I serve with Don Powell, and I'm also a professor at UC Berkeley. And of course, I'm a medical anthropologist, and I am very excited about the purpose of this conference. I can't think of anything more important than talking about belonging and everyone belonging to this society. I was asked to say a few words about the Haas Institute that covers both the academic side, that as a professor I work most closely with, but also how we work together on policy, how we work with artists, how we work with narrative strategies to get our messages across. So we have 7 faculty clusters, and they are working in areas so crucial to diversity and inclusion. They include a cluster on health disparities, on economic disparities, on educational inequities, on religious diversity, LGBTQ, citizenship, and democracy. And in fact, 2 of our clusters will be presenting in breakout groups for the conference, and I urge you to attend them. So I think there's a powerful synergy with having 70 or so faculty members at UC Berkeley that are engaged and deeply committed to working on inclusivity and honoring and celebrating diversity. And I'd like to highlight some of the work that we're doing that shows the kind of projects that we're engaged in. And first of all, I just want to start off by maybe sharing something to say that, you know, nobody can really afford to be in an ivory tower these days, and we're not. You know, my classrooms were turned upside down by the 2016 elections. UC Berkeley became targeted as a place where alt-right speakers were coming, and many of them specialized in speaking openly othering people in our communities who are brown, black, yellow, gay, lesbian, bisexual, or those who espouse feminist values. So I found that in my classroom, I turned away from the syllabus I'd planned, and we began spending a lot more time thinking about what does free speech mean? Where does free speech end and hate speech begin? I was facing students who were afraid to come to class because posters were being circulated at UC Berkeley calling our faculty and students terrorists. Our students were having to look at chalk scrawled on places on campus openly depicting hate speech. So the classroom, and in fact, the Haas Institute has facilitated a place where we can openly dialogue, where we can openly start to bridge differences, and we can openly talk about how can we create a more inclusive society. And I'd like to highlight now one of the projects that I've been working on that's been incredibly inspirational. And it comes out of one of our Haas working groups where some of us decided that it was important to understand what's happening in our administration and how it's affecting our society. And it was called, we're going to study Trumpism. So not the person, but the policies and the ideology. So, but I decided, because that's a focus of my work has been not just what's happening to people, but how are people working to change? How are they working to overthrow the conditions that have created problems for them within the societies? So I was very inspired by a recent youth movement. One of the key social and public health problems that our entire society is facing is gun violence. Daily, people are being shot down. We have, not only individuals that are being victimized by gun violence, domestic violence, but we also have school children. There have been numerous school shootings within the society. And until recently, no one believed that anything could be done. I mean, we've seen Columbine, we've seen Sandy Hook, where 20 school children and 6 faculty were gunned down. As recently as October of 2017, there was a mass shooting in Las Vegas that left 58 people dead and 851 wounded. However, a mere 6 months later, a group of teenagers staged the largest gun control rally in America with about 850,000 people in the Washington Mall. I was greatly moved when I saw 11-year-old, fifth grader Naomi Wadley, who stood up to bond with survivors, but also to bring to consciousness the names of the Black girls who never make the news media when someone talks about violence. So these youth, Naomi and the other group of teenagers who have led a movement, it's been very, very impressive. The Parkland kids there was a school shooting on Valentine's Day in 2018. After this shooting, these youth band together crossing racial boundaries, social class boundaries, and all kinds of other boundaries to create a unified movement to wake up America. These youth have been tremendously successful. Only since they started organizing, within 6 months of the big national conference they had, 50 new state laws were passed, and there was an uptick in voter registration and voter participation among young people. So those are the kinds of things that inspire us, that despite the othering context in which we're operating, there are true movements and true successes in the arena of belonging. So with that, I'd just like to urge you to learn as much as you can. I know that I am humbled to hear about the program that we have here today and look forward to participating in it. And now I'm going to leave you with a special video that also welcomes you to this wonderful event. Thank you so much.